So I'll call the meeting to order. Before we get started, let's introduce everyone on this meeting. I'm Sandy Brock. When I call your name, please confirm that you can hear me and verify that you're present, starting with the commissioners. Alicia.
I am here and I can hear you.
Jonathan.
I'm here. I can hear you.
Patrick.
I'm here. I can hear you.
And Betsy.
I am here and I can hear you.
Fabulous. We'll go with staff. Leah, our agent.
I'm here.
And Jan, the conservation assistant.
I'm here.
Great. I'm going to go through the list of speakers. So if you could just, acknowledge that you can hear me so that we can also hear you. First up from Goddard would be Nicole Hayes.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. And I can hear you. And Michael Shunta of Claremont Companies. And I will say, I apologize for mispronouncing any names.
That was perfect. And I can hear you.
Oh, that's a win. So I'm up one. As far as the 100 Westboro Road, do we have anyone here for that? Or is because they're withdrawing, they're not here? Leah.
Well, they kind of have a twofold thing going on. So they're here for an action item.
Okay. All right. So that's cool. So it's Matt Leidner is here.
Present.
And Mark Mastriani.
Very, very good, Mastriani. I am here, present, and I can hear you. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna mess it up. In last time you were here, you actually told me Isek.
Oh, it's Essek.
Essek. Oh, see, I knew I was like, it's all right. Apologize for that. For Hollywood Drive, Tony Molinari.
Here.
Very good. Thank you. And for Rooney Park, is Ray here yet? Yes, he is. Can you hear me, Ray?
Hello.
Oh, there you go. We can hear you.
This isn't Ray. It's Skip Courier. I'm filling in for him until you're ready to talk to us, and then he will appear.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. All right. The open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to the Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order as extended on June 15th, 2021 and February 12th, 2022. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are speaking. If you're using the dial-in by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will invite each commissioner by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After the commissioners have spoken, I will allow public comments to be spoken by participants. Participants must use their raise hand feature by clicking on the hand icon at the bottom right of the Zoom menu bar to indicate that they would like to speak. If you are using the dial in by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute you when you are called on. Participants who raise their hands will be recognized one at a time by their name and then will be promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by commission and applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by a roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside of this purview need to be addressed by the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the select board, and traffic concerns must be addressed with the planning board. All right, having said all of that, do we have any action items that we can take up, Leah, up front?
Yeah, the third one. So we have a request to reissue certificates of compliance for 1 Hollywood Drive. These are really old orders. They were issued COCs in the past, but the originals did not get to the registry.
Okay.
So we just need to take a vote to reissue new originals. And I don't know if the owner or applicant wanted to add anything. I think he's on here.
That's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yes, this was kind of a surprise considering we bought it in 2002. And I don't know why the title search didn't come up with this in 2002, but we do request that they get reissued if possible.
All right. Do I have a motion to reissue the previously issued certificates of compliance?
I'll make a motion to reissue the previously issued certificates of compliance for the property at 1 Hollywood Drive.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. And since I have the whole Vista here, I'll do it by whose cube comes up first. Jonathan.
You just call me cute.
I thought
No, the cubes. Yeah, no. Yes, Jonathan, I did call you cute.
I'm taking it as cute. I'm taking
All
it as
right,
cute.
take it as
Yes.
cute. That's fine.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
Okay. Betsy,
yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Alicia.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion passes. So you all set. Just follow up with Leah, when she's back in the office, tomorrow, whenever, and she'll let you know how that process will happen. We have to sign it, but they have it all down pat. So just reach out to the office and should be all set.
All right. Well, thank you very much for making it so easy. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Good luck.
All right. I can drop off then.
You can stay and listen if you'd like, but no, you can do whatever you'd like.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Next one up.
We do have folks here for the minor change request for 100 Westboro Road. If you want to take that next.
Let's try, see if we can get going on it and see how long that takes. So who's going to present the minor change?
I will, Ms. Chairman.
Okay.
So before we get started, I think we just heard that our team cannot screen share. So I was going to say a brief introduction and then turn the floor over to Matt Leidner, who had a kind of a presentation to provide the commission. So what's the best way to proceed here?
So anything that you've submitted, Leah and Jan can share it for you. Anything that's going to be presented during the hearing that needs to be, submitted to us ahead of time. I mean, that's just, that's pretty standard for public hearings.
Yeah. So we submitted the revised plan that we're asking for review, but we had put together a little PowerPoint proposal so that we could, try to walk the commission through with all of the information.
Okay. That usually just needs to be sent in ahead of time, just because of the way our system is set up and also the issues that many towns have. We don't allow folks to present their own. It's just a technology thing. So, I mean, it's up to you. Leah can share the plans and we can go through it. You're looking for a minor change. To me, if it's a minor change, I'm not sure if you need a full presentation.
Okay. Oh, there's the cat again. So we can do that, but you do not want us to just email Leah or Jan the PowerPoint now?
You can.
Just send it.
I don't know, Leah. I'll leave that up to you if that's even doable.
Jan's driving the bus, so she's comfortable grabbing it right now.
If you can email that right now.
I just sent it, so it should be getting to you momentarily.
Yep, I have it. Just a second. Let me download it.
Well, thank you all. And hopefully the PowerPoint really is just to try to provide you all the information in a very, organized fashion so that you have, so we can kind of give you all the information. But while you're doing that, I'll do the introduction. So my name is Mark Mastriani, and I'm here with Essex Petrie, and we're with Pulte Homes. And with us tonight is Matt Leidner of Civil Design Group. He's our project engineer. And we're really excited to re-inform the commission. We were here last meeting and we kind of hinted at it, but we are under agreement with Dominic Alfonso and his team to construct the village at Institute Road, which is a definitive subdivision, 46 single-family lots located off of Institute Road. We've been reviewing the approved plans, and the permits to make sure that we understand all of the requirements. There is a valid order of conditions on the project, as well as a local stormwater permit and a local wetlands permit. They're valid through November 7th, 2023. I think this commission recently, that was a different permit. So as we get ready to begin construction this spring, we've been advancing the permit level plans into construction plans, which has included, putting our home selections on the lots and grading the lots with our detailed grading. And we've also been receiving feedback from our construction managers and potential site contractors on the most efficient and practical way to build the project. So that's what brings us here tonight. We've submitted a revised sheet 27 to the commission. It's the overall erosion control and phasing plan approved for the project. And so we have taken all the feedback and we'd like to present the updated plan to the commission for your review and approval. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Matt Leidner, and he can better walk you through the revised plan. Thank you for your time tonight.
Great. Good evening, commission members. Matt Leidner with Civil Design Group. And thank you again for kind of adapting on the fly here with this PowerPoint presentation. I think you'll find this helpful as we go through it. So if I could ask whoever's controlling the screen, is it Leah?
Jan.
Jan, I'm sorry. Okay, Jan, if you could advance. So we have some exercise in here if we need to refer to some other things, but if you could advance to it's sheet 8, says proposed on it. So if you scroll down some. Okay, and then one more actually. Okay, thank you. So as Margaret said, we are in the process now of taking what was approved as the permit plan set and adapting it and enhancing it and furthering it into a construction plan set. And as part of developing the permit set into a construction plan set, one of the sheets that we really drilled down on was the phasing plan. So the approved permit set included as sheet number 27, a phasing plan for the project. And as is typical, anytime we develop a construction level plan set, we look at details like this and how it's going to be phased, logistics of it, et cetera. And we really go through it in detail. And so as part of that process of looking at the phasing plan, we wrapped in our construction folks at Pulte. So the construction project manager, who will be responsible for overseeing the construction, as well as the field engineering staff that will be the eyes and ears on the ground while the project is being constructed. That type of input is extremely valuable at this level, as they will be the ones that will be overseeing the project as it moves forward into construction. So this is standard protocol. Anytime we do a construction set of plans, we get that input. They look at it through a slightly different lens, perhaps, than, when we're in the permitting phase of the project. So they went through it very methodically, the phasing plan. And based on their review, and we had extensive conversations, got a lot of input from them, went back and forth. And we have adjusted the phasing in a way that we believe very strongly that will lead to a more efficient build out of the project and lead to less time overall for active construction. So we're trying to build this as efficiently as possible, both from a business standpoint as well as from an environmental standpoint. We want to leave the ground open and exposed for as little time as possible. So in looking at this, we believe we've identified some amendments and revisions to the phasing plan that will help us achieve that goal of the most efficient construction build out possible. So that's sort of the basis of this and what we've submitted as a revised plan. So again, this is typical of any construction plan that we do. The reason we're back before you here tonight on this is because the phasing plan on this particular project was actually included as a sheet in the approved set. And so we felt it necessary to come back before you and review what we are proposing to amend with the phasing plan and answer any questions and get any input from this commission. So sheet 27 is the approved phasing plan, and that's what we've submitted a revised version of. And I'll go through here momentarily the phasing kind of step by step. So sheet 27 has all the phasing on one sheet. The purpose of this PowerPoint presentation is sort of to break it down step by step, because although the one sheet does depict the phasing the way we are proposing to do it, it really warrants sort of a step-by-step presentation for tonight to really dig down and understand it. I will also mention that as part of preparing the construction plans, in addition to the phasing, and again, typical of any construction plan set that we advance from a permitting level, we're now taking what was approved as the home footprints on the permit set. They were just boxes, generic boxes that were shown for the homes on the individual lots. So we are now to the point where we are looking at the actual architecture and footprints that will be built on these lots. And so in doing that, as we develop our construction set, we've been replacing these generic boxes with the actual home footprints. And as part of that exercise, we've been adjusting the limit of work accordingly. So the footprints are not exactly the same length and width of these generic rectangles that were shown on the permit plan. So in some cases, with the associated grading of the lots based on the footprint, the limit of work changes slightly. So our construction set also accounts for that update based on the actual footprints. But I will note, particularly for the commission tonight, that none of the limit of work revisions and refinements based on the home footprints, none of those limit of work refinements are inside the 100-foot buffer zone to wetlands. So all the changes, all the revisions and modifications to the limit of work line are outside the 100-foot buffer zone. I will say also that the updated home footprints are documented on the updated sheet 27, the phasing plan, just so you have that information in your file, along with the updated phasing. So with that said, I'll get into the phasing plan, and as I go along or afterward, happy to answer any questions, address any comments as you may have. So the first slide here. So this is our proposed phasing based on the advancing to the construction plan set. So this is what we are proposing. This is what we would like acknowledgement of from the commission, ideally, of this phasing here. So phase number 1, which are the highlighted in red. So just to get your bearings, Westboro Road runs left, right along top of the page, Institute Road up and down the page on the right-hand side. Audrina Lane, Brook Street, and Dillon Way are the proposed roadways, the approved roadways that are proposed for the subdivision. So the red areas up at the top of the page along Westboro Road, phase 1, this project, as approved, also entailed construction of a sewer pump station, which is the top left red area up on Westboro Road. And then the right-hand side, the area to the right in red, That's a staging area that was associated with construction of the sewer, as well as stubbing the sewer into the site for this project. So that's phase one, is the sewer pump station, and then the sewer itself, the gravity, and part of it was a force main as well. That phase is actually done. That has been built, so that is completed at this point. So that was phase one. That's done. And if I may ask you to advance to the next slide. Okay, so really from this point, from today forward, this is really what we're talking about here. So phase two. So phase two entails the thick blue line there, and that is we intend to cut the trees within that limit of work. So that's the limit of work line. We intend to clear the trees within that limit of work line as part of phase two. However, not remove all the stumps within that area. So we want to clear the trees, but not remove all the stumps. And if you advance to the next slide, please. This area here, so sort of a subset of phase two, this blue hatched area is the area in which we would be removing the stumps. So clearing and grubbing the cut area, the limit of work in this blue hatched area. The idea here is to be able to kind of start building the fundamentals of the project. So what I mean by that is the stormwater management areas, which are sort of on the top left side of the blue area. There's two large stormwater basins in that area. We want to build those first. So we want to clear that area and build those, shape those basins in the beginning of the project, because we will be sending the runoff to those basins, both during construction and post-construction. So it's important that those get built initially in the project. We also want to connect so that thin blue line that heads up toward Westboro Road. And I guess, may I ask, is there a way I can control the screen, or is it staff that will be controlling the screen?
It's only staff.
Okay, all right, no problem. I figured I'd ask. Okay, so the thin blue area that extends up toward Westboro Road, that's the sewer connection. So as I mentioned in phase one, the sewer's been stubbed off of Westboro Road in what on this slide is sort of a solid gray hatch. We need to continue that sewer down the page to the single family development, because that is one of the main supporting utilities for the project. That needs to be active and ready to go as soon as the first lots get built and need to send their sewer to that system. So stormwater, sewer, and then Audrina Lane, which is labeled there. We want to build that up to the binder with all the utilities in the roadway. And we want to begin building on the lots along Audrina Lane. So it's lots 19 through 29. Those are the lots along Audrina Lane. You'll notice too that some of the lots on Brook Street are also part of this phase. The reason for that is in looking at the earthwork balance for this project, the Audrina Lane lots are the lots that are in a cut. So when Audrina Lane and the lots along Audrina Lane are constructed, that is going to be generating earth material, generating soil, and we need to put that soil somewhere. The Brook Street lots that are highlighted in blue here are the lots that need material to build them up to the approved grades. So those are the lots that essentially balance out. So we need to take the material from Audrina Lane and the lots along Audrina Lane and place it somewhere. And the place that it goes is the lots along Brook Street. That's why we also have those lots on Brook Street included in this phase, because we need to move the material to those lots. And if I may ask you to advance to the next slide. So at this point here, we're kind of in a rolling construction. So these phasing plans are sort of snapshots in time, but this is sort of a rolling construction plan at this point. So I'm sorry, if you could advance. So this is just the detention basin and the sewer, Audrina Lane. I had discussed those. If you could advance again to phase 3, perfect, thank you. So the next phase here is phase 3. So at this point here, we'll be working on everything we talked about, the stormwater basins, Audrina Lane, binder and utilities. We'll be starting to build the lots out on Audrina Lane. We will put that material on the initial Brook Street lots. So the next phase here, phase 3, is to remove the stumps, so clear and grub the next set of lots on Brook Street. And so those are the lots in green on the screen right now. There is also a smaller stormwater feature right along Institute Road, sort of the top right corner of the green area there. It's a 4-bay. That's part of this phase as well. And then as these lots are cleared, on these next set of lots on Brook Street, we will also be bringing Brook Street to completion as far as the utilities and then up to binder. So Brook Street from Institute Road all the way up to Audrina Lane. We will not be completing, as far part of phase 3, we will not complete the cul-de-sac section, the northern end of Brook Street, quite yet, because that area at the cul-de-sac is used as a staging area for staging construction materials and equipment. So we won't be building that out quite yet as part of phase 3. Also as part of phase 3, you could go to the next slide. Thank you. Yep. So we'll be also building out the lots, starting to build out the lots on Brook Street. So in phase 2, we were starting to build the Audrina Lane lots out. Phase 3, we'll start to build the Brook Street lots out that are hatched here. So again, not the cul-de-sac because we need that area for staging, but the diagonal hatched area here, we will start to build those lots out. Next slide, please. Phase 4. So once Audrina Lane and then Brook Street from Audrina Lane back down all the way out to Institute, once that horseshoe is completed, we will then be able to attack the Institute Road improvements. So part of the project entailed certain improvements on Institute Road. One section of it, we are reworking the profile. There was a sightline issue that we're kind of bringing the crest of a hill down on Institute Road. There's some water main work, some other work associated with that. So once that horseshoe is completed of Audrina to Brook, we'll then be able to, as needed, route traffic through the new roads so we can really focus on Institute Road. And as needed, we can detour traffic through the new roads. There is also one lot that is approved along Institute Road, lot number 46, sort of on the left, in the middle of the orange area. That's also part of this phase, just because we'll be in that area as well. If you could advance the next slide, please. So phase 5. So the next phase here, phase 5, that entails stumping and grubbing Dillon Way. So that's that cul-de-sac in purple there, internal to the project. So we'll stump and grub that area, build the roadway, Dillon Way, again, up to binder with the utilities. And then we will also, if you could advance the next slide, please. So that's the roadway, Dillon Way. We'll advance that to binder with utilities. Also, you'll notice the cul-de-sac on Brook Street up at the top there, that purple hatch. So now at this point, our need for a staging area is dwindling because we're reaching the end of construction here. So at this point, we can also look at building the cul-de-sac and finishing off the end of Brook Street. So that's why that's hatched here as well. And if you could advance to the next. And then also associated with those two, the end of Brook and Dillon Way, then building the lots out or start to build the lots out on those two streets as well. These are just extra slides hereafter. So if, depending on questions, if we need to refer to something. So that's sort of our plan of attack here on the phasing. We think it makes a lot of sense. We've looked at it. I can't even tell you how many hours we've spent going through this with different team members and really refining this. I can tell you with certainty, it's very well thought out. It's super efficient, very methodical way to construct the project. As we wind up here in the presentation, of course, we're happy to answer any questions, address any concerns you may have. But, just to kind of recap here or conclude, we wanted to share this information, even though it's sort of standard. This is the level of detail we go through at this stage when we're developing construction plans. We really felt the need and wanted to come back before the commission, particularly because the phasing plan was included as part, or a phasing plan was included as part of the approved plan set. We felt it necessary to come back and go through this with you and get any input and address any questions. We don't believe that these revisions and amendments would require an amendment. They're really just kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's as we move toward construction. But again, we're back before you to discuss that. I will also say that these updated plans, as far as the phasing, and I had mentioned the putting the actual house footprints on, adjusting the limit of work, that's all going to be documented in the SWIP that is required under NIPDES, under the construction general permit. And I believe one of the conditions of the order of conditions is that we provide that SWIP to this commission. So that will, in addition to what we've already sent you, this will also be documented in the SWIP to be submitted to this commission. So, in closing, Pulte's very excited to move forward with this project. And, we're very, very far advanced at this point with the construction plans. We're excited to present this to you tonight. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sure. And probably to help you out, why is the phasing plans in our in the set of drawings is because we request phasing plans on all of our projects with, greater than 5 acres of property disturbance. And the reason for is unfortunately, although you had nothing to do with it, we've had a whole series of very ugly subdivisions where we've had, the mud flows down the roads and so forth. And so we have had for a while a policy with the commission that, how you approach and what you want to construct first and so forth is totally up to you. We don't want to tell you how to do it, but we have a policy of no more than 5 acres exposed at any one time. And that's a policy. It's based in the fact that we've had to respond to some really ugly erosion issues on subdivisions and so forth. So my first question would be, when you're talking about, cutting trees and not grubbing it. So to me, we're worried about exposed soil. So we're not going to get worried until you start grubbing the site. So when you say you want to go in and do one cut for the site, that is fine as long as you're not grubbing. Once you start grubbing, and that would have been, I forget which drawing it was, but your first phase of grubbing, that's where we would be concerned about if you're over 5 acres. And again, that has to do with just bad experiences and having to chase people down to correct issues with erosion control. As far as the SWIP goes, that is required by law from you, and you're probably quite aware that permit has just changed and the requirements have changed too. But we're not going to review the SWIP. We just want it for information. That's all. It's for our records, and if someone goes out there, they have the SWIP as information because that's what you're supposed to be following and that's supposed to be on site. So yeah, that's great. We'll get a copy of it. That's all that's required in the orders. But the bigger issue is the amount of exposed area, what has been grubbed at one time. And if it's over 5 acres, you need to convince us what you're doing to make sure it doesn't happen. Again, the biggest reason is, sorry, we've had a lot of bad experiences, especially on subdivisions. So that's where the 5 acres come from. So my first question to you would be, is in any of those phases, do you exceed 5 acres? It looks like, the couple of the early ones you might, so.
If I may, Mark, did you want to go ahead? I'm sorry.
We're probably going to say the same thing, but I was going to take a shot at responding. Jan, would you be able to pull back up the phase 2? Because that's really the phase that is over the 5 acre policy. And, Jan and Leah had previously communicated the 5 acre policy to us, and we're aware of that. And we want to respect that as much as we can. So what I'd like to share is that, go back one more forward, please. Yeah. So that's really the phase right there. So that's the major first phase. And that's over 5 acres. But our plan here is to really respect the goals of the commission and also to build the project practically and efficiently the way it needs to happen. So Audrina Lane is a huge cut, and it's going to generate material. And Matt said this, but I'll reiterate it. In Brook Street is those lots, 8 through 13 are large fill lots. So in order to move the material once, which is what everybody wants to happen, we will take, as soon as we open up Audrina Lane and Brook Street, we will be moving the material from Audrina Lane and creating and filling in and creating the Brook Street lots. And as soon as the Brook Street lots are brought to grade and the material is placed, we are committed to and more than willing and committing to stabilizing those lots because they're not going to be worked on for some time. So our plan is to temporarily, seed them as soon as we place the material and stabilize those lots so that we would respect and get under the 5 acre limit. But so we ask for the commission's understanding there that's really the material on Audrina Lane. We're going to move it to Brook Street and we're going to stabilize everything while we continue to work on Audrina Lane. But the material has to go somewhere, and it makes more sense to put it in the lots than it does to stockpile the material somewhere else, or it's just. So anyways, we've put a lot of thought into that, and that's what we'd like to do.
Okay. No, yeah, I mean, granted, I understand that once you start cutting, you want a location to put. It's just, I think, and again, we've been burnt many times and have had many promises to us that don't worry about it. We're going to do everything right, and that's where our caution comes from. And that doesn't mean to say that it's a policy and we'll look at each case and we can make, create a process so that can happen to be over than the 5 acres. But again, it's really just some really bad experiences. So when you say, and I understand the cut and fill and adding and so forth, you would have to grub Brook Street just so that you prep it for the fill, because otherwise it wouldn't work. When you say you're going to stabilize it, what's the method that you're going to be using to stabilize that?
We were planning on seed.
Okay. So you're basically going to, cut, and then you're gonna strip the topsoil, put the fill down, put the topsoil back on, and then seed. I'm just trying to get the sequence because it's important because it's a time constraint too.
So
I think the only,
I think the topsoil would go in a pile to go in a stockpile. And then we would be just seeding temporarily over, the lots that have been brought up to a certain grade, subgrade.
All
And
right,
we
so
would
yeah.
be stabilizing the lots, but the topsoil we wouldn't want to move the topsoil twice.
And I'm asking these questions because it's different methods and trying to seed, depending upon the soils out on the site, trying to, seed, basically a sea horizon soil, you're going to be, there's plenty of things that you can use to stabilize it. Going out there and spreading some seed may not work. So I think what we'd be more interested in is, what other method? I mean, there's tons of tackifiers,
Like gorilla snot.
Oh, there's tons of stuff. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
it all can get done. That's not it. We just want to make sure that you understand our expectations. If we're going to step outside of our 5 acres, then we want a clear picture of what's going to happen. So that means you're going to do a stockpile. Let's not even play with the numbers. That stockpile has to have enhanced erosion control around it. We also want you to do some sort of stabilization on that stockpile itself. And then that area, and again, it's your choice. There's a ton of different materials and different ways of stabilizing that exposed. I mean, you could do as simply as grind up the stumps and use that grinded stump. I mean, I've seen that done and it works wonderful. I mean, from my perspective, how you do it is important, but it's less important than for you to understand our expectation is if you're going to come in and clear and grub everything because you're doing a pretty substantial cut and fill. And then one whole part of that area that you're doing the cut and fills in, you're going to do a temporary, stabilization to get back underneath the 5, I think is reasonable. But I just want to make sure that you have a plan in place. Sorry. Oops. You have a plan in place of what that process is going to be and that it's done in a timely manner so that for whatever reason, there's not a 3-month delay in that process. I mean, when you're actively doing the cut and fill, you're actively doing the cut and fill, pretty standard erosion control. But once it's set and you're going to spend 6 months or a year building this portion of the site, and that other area is going to be stabilized for, I'm just using a year as an example. We want to know what that's going to be, and it's going to have to be checked. So
I understand.
So kind of let me go around the commission and kind of because I have one other question. It has to do with Institute Road, but kind of get people's feelings about that 5 acres. And so, okay, where is everyone? Just all moved around again. So Alicia, do you have any other questions or any other concerns with allowing over 5 acres?
I don't. It sounds like their plan makes sense as to why they're doing it. I don't have any questions right now.
Great, thanks. Jonathan.
I'm in the same boat. I think that they just need to define what they're going to do in order to give us peace of mind, aside from just seeding, backup methods, that type of thing. So,
yeah. Thank you, Betsy.
Just basically everything, reiterating everything you just said. I don't need to repeat it.
Okay, thank you. And Patrick.
How many acres is it total? Approximately.
The area that will be de-stumped initially is about 16 acres, but then that includes the stormwater areas and then the lots on which the fill is to be placed. So the stormwater areas are about, 4 acres, and the lots are about 5 acres. And those are the areas that could be or would be stabilized as soon as the material is put there. So, we'd be getting down pretty quickly, but initially it would be a 16-acre area to be able to do this.
And one other tidbit for you is I live down the street and I go by this site. Maybe not every single day, but probably 6 out of 7 days a week. So I get to go by and look at it every day. So just as a heads up on that, that this is, 16 acres is obviously a lot larger than the 5 acres. As far as doing the stormwater basins up front, that makes total sense. You can have discussion on how you phase those so that whether they're using for sedimentation basins or not, I mean, that's fine. But it's that 16 acres altogether. And then it's more just, creating that timeline of when everything's going to be open and then what the plan is. And just not that we would hold you to a tight schedule, but more of a seasonal schedule. You guys are going to break ground, hit this date. And the whole idea is that it's going to take you 6 months to move. I don't know how many cubic yards you're moving. It takes X length. And then so that it would be buttoned up before the winter or something and stabilized. Because if you are using plants or seeding for stabilization, you have to do it during the right season. If not, you're going to, your different glues and tackifiers and a bunch of other stuff. So
May I ask one question, Ms.
Sure.
Chair?
Yeah.
The 5 acre policy, does that have any distinction to areas that are within the 100-foot buffer versus outside the 100-foot buffer? And the reason I ask is the vast majority of what we're talking about is well outside the 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, but it's still immediately adjacent to it. It also falls underneath our stormwater management plan. In fact, a stormwater management bylaw, because the erosion is more closely tied to that stormwater component. And so, yes, it will ultimately go to the wetlands, but the area of disturbance, it's like when we do a, any kind of, I'm losing the word of getting money for you, a bond. If we're using a bond for a site, the only thing we're concerned about in that bond is to stabilize the site. We're not the planning board. We don't want to get involved in any of that building or anything else. It's all about the stabilization because that's key to the stormwater and it's an integral part of the stormwater. So that falls into the stormwater bylaw, which is under our purview. So that's where, when you say outside the buffer, I would argue that you're disturbing a site, and it's all draining towards the wetlands. Well, there's an issue there. But in this particular case, because we're issuing a stormwater permit, that disturbance really falls underneath that. And again, it's really just to make sure that we don't get stuck stabilizing a site, and that has happened before. So that's why we're probably a little bit more concerned and pay a little bit more attention to the amount of exposed soils.
Okay, understood. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep. So, Leah, what other comments you have or things that you have mentioned in your report? I just don't have it up at this point.
Sure. So you touched on the stormwater permit. So I wanted to ask, what is the resulting change in square footage of disturbance with your new limit of work?
I can certainly follow up with the square footage. It's approximately 3 acres.
3 additional acres?
Yes, none of which is in the, well.
Well, the stormwater permit.
Stormwater permit.
That has, that's not confined to the wetlands. That is, driven by the MS4 requirement. So that's
Understood.
it. Yep.
And so were those additional 3 acres accounted for with stormwater calcs, and the design that you have covers an additional 3 acres?
The design does cover the additional 3 acres. As far as the stormwater report, so at this point in the project with a subdivision like this, as the project gets built out and a prospective homeowner purchases a lot, they have some options in terms of what house type and house footprint they choose. And so what we've shown on the sheet 27 on all the lots are the largest footprint that would fit on those lots and work on those lots in terms of zoning and et cetera. there is a chance as the build out occurs and homeowners select their lots, they could choose a smaller house, different driveway configuration, et cetera. So the way we are intending to view this is to keep track of the stormwater calculations and what was modeled through the build out. And if the need arises during that process, if we ultimately do expand ground cover types to something that has more runoff than what was approved, we would then need to react accordingly. And if we need to make any adjustments, say to the stormwater runoff, stormwater basins, we would need to go back and bring that back before the commission to let you know.
Yeah, whenever an applicant comes in front of us and, typically you put the rectangle on there,
Right.
and we always tell them, you account for more impervious and always say, you don't want to have to come back underneath a stormwater permit and have to go through all of these revisions. It doesn't make sense. Do it up front. Never gets done that way. So the fact that you have to keep track and if you're altering 3 acres more, and my guess is that a lot of that will become vegetated areas, it's not going to be woods. That's an immediate change in the curve number, which has an impact on your stormwater. I would suggest that you begin to look at that because you're going to have to change something. And it's better to do it before you start building. Yeah, we understand. We get it. You're going to put in a dummy house, and every single time the amount of impervious goes up by 40%, you end up having to come back in front of us. Or worse than that, you don't get your CO because what you put on the site looks totally different than what got submitted. So I would just give you the heads up on that to make sure you avoid that. And you have already started to do that by trying to look at the layouts on each lot. So
another question that I had is, I believe at some point between permitting for the subdivision and permitting for Afonso Village, we had talked about a potential phasing plan that kind of had interplay between those two sites. Is that off the table now? Is that no longer?
I can answer that. That's a good question. Yeah, our proposal is that is off the table. So, when we've looked at this, we plan to take the material from Madrina Lane and place it on the lots where it needs to go. We've taken a very hard look at the earthwork. And so that we're moving the material once. We do not want to take the material off of this single family site, bring it over to Alfonso Village, place it there, stockpile it there, and then move it again back to the single family community. So we are not proposing to do that.
Okay. And the last thing I had was just Sandy touched a little bit on, seasonality and timing of things earlier. So I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware that there are special conditions pertaining to the proximity to vernal pools. I know we're about to be in that season now, and then, by the time you guys are starting, it will probably be over this year, but just to keep that in mind going forward, because we did have some restrictions there.
We saw those in the order. We're very familiar with those. Certainly, we intend to comply with that condition and all the conditions in the order.
yeah, and that was my other question, which I didn't ask, which was the timing of Institute Road, because that is the closest point to that vernal pool. And, that work on Institute Road, has a potential to impact the vernal pool. So, and again, that's down near the end of your schedule. But again, it's more just what Leah said is the seasonality of it. We just don't want to have a whole lot of disturbance happening early in the spring that potentially could impact the vernal pool. But you should be able to control that your own schedule.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So kind of moving forward, I think hopefully you understand our position is that we don't particularly want to tell you how to build something. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is make sure that, that that 5 acres is understood why it has come about and why we try to enforce that. And just to make sure that, if you can, give us a plan on how you're going to, manage it with some timelines of like, okay, you're talking whatever, 16 acres, but this is going to be done with the cuts and fills. And then there's an opportunity to, basically stabilize a certain amount of it. And that's in a general time frame. I mean, how many cubic yards are you talking about of cut and fill in that one kind of move? Is it, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000?
Matt, do you have those numbers?
I'm looking for a rough, I'm not looking for a detailed number. I'm looking for order of magnitude because,
I think it's in the ones of thousands, not over 10,000 in that initial.
okay. All right.
in
So
that
that's a
initial.
fairly short time. I mean, if you staff it correctly, that's a short duration. Okay. All right. Anything else, Leah? I mean, I'm guessing, I'm thinking all we need is some more information. And everyone here is, I think when I asked everyone is pretty much on the same page is, this is definitely something, that's doable. It's just making sure we're comfortable with the process. So, and I'm not sure when you're looking to actually break ground since you already have your permits.
Well, so we're hoping to kind of confirm with the commission and the planning board here in March. So we go to the planning board next to get their permission as well and their approval of this revised phasing plan. And then once Pulte has that comfort, then we would make arrangements with Alfonso to schedule closing in the next probably 30 to 45 days after that, which puts a closing and a start of construction sometime in late May, early June is that would be our expectation and really our goal.
Okay. Yeah. And I think, and I'll check with the rest of the commission. To me, kind of these changes to the phasing plan is a minor change because we had a very similar discussion with the original applicant. So this isn't a new discussion that we're having. It's just, it's a similar one. And we just want to make sure we do our, we take care of our responsibility to make sure we ask the right questions to avoid a problem before it happens. That's all we're trying to do. So I think, Leah, as far as I'm concerned, just a more detailed of the phasing specifically around your cut and fill in those areas so that that we understand what's open and what's not and how you're going to protect the areas so we don't have a huge issue because there are some steep slopes out there. Is there anything else, Leah, that should be in that request? Okay. I'll go around real quick with the rest of the commission to make sure we're all on the same page so that you have a good direction. Alicia, anything to change to that kind of process?
Nope, I agree with you.
Betsy.
Nope, I agree with you too.
Patrick, good question on the areas.
No, that sounds good.
And Jonathan.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Do you guys have enough to kind of, and again, this is construction. You're not building a Swiss watch, but we just need to have some parameters and it's more around the seasonality of things and kind of the length it's going to be open versus that. And it's your construction schedule. So it's not like we want to change what you're going to do. We just need to understand it. And you need to understand when we say stabilize an area that it's truly stabilized. That's all.
I appreciate your comments. I understand the commission's perspective. Appreciate you giving us that feedback. We want to work with the commission and have a successful project. And that's what we tried to kind of communicate tonight. Yep. So, we're happy to provide, that additional information. I guess the question is would this be additional information that we're providing to Jan and Leah, or are you requesting that we come back to the commission? What would be the next steps to kind of, is this a pre-construction information
Good question. I'm not one for delegating a lot of stuff directly to our staff because I think it puts them in not a good position. And I'm also thinking that what we're talking about is not like going through and coming up with 20 plans. I think you already have a plan. You already have your areas. It's more of a narrative, and it's more, just a step-by-step kind of phasing in a description of it. And then probably the only things that are really missing is the methods of stabilization in the different areas, so that you've already looked at it, you had all the numbers, so it's really just putting it on a piece of paper and letting us know so that we understand the exposure periods of the different areas being grubbed and so forth. Leah, anything else to add? I don't think we need any different plans.
No, I think you captured it well. I'm not clear on, do you want it to come back to you guys?
Oh, I think it should come back to the commission instead of, and once that happens, then we get to hand it over to our staff and they take care of the rest. So. But hopefully you've got clear direction on what we're looking for. A little more schedule with the areas associated with it.
Okay. Well, it sounds like maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, that the commission is deeming or will consider this a minor plan change and maybe continue us to the next meeting, and we can provide some additional information to.
I'm happy to do a quick poll of the commissions just to give you a sense of that. It's not an actual vote, but at least to give you the general sense that's the direction that we're going in. So I'll do a quick poll, go back the other way. Patrick.
To me, it seems like that based on the previous plan versus the current one. It seems like it could fall under a minor change.
All right, thank you. And Jonathan?
Agree with what Patrick just said.
Very good. Betsy?
Same as Patrick and Jonathan.
And Alicia?
Yep, I agree.
So, and obviously I also agree with that. So again, it's not a vote, but hopefully you can generally sense the direction in what we're trying to do on the commission. So.
Okay. So if we want to attend your next meeting, would that be possible? And what would be the deadline that we have to resubmit the additional information?
Good questions, Leah.
So the next meeting is April 5th. We need all materials a week ahead of the meeting.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Good luck. Glad you guys are going ahead with something there. So.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited about that. So appreciate your support and your feedback tonight.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're a little bit behind, right, Leah?
Yes. The 715 did request to withdraw without prejudice, but I would just suggest, I don't know if you want to read the ad or just make an announcement. We don't have any attendees, but just for the sake of the record.
Sure. I'm happy to read that ad, and then we can indicate. Okay. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent application for Grafton Wetlands Bylaw permit and application for Grafton Stormwater Bylaw permit for construction of townhouses at 100 Westboro Road. The applicant has requested to withdraw without prejudice. No further action is needed on this submission, this application. Cool. That's all set for that. All right. 7:30. Apologize to folks for being a little bit tardy here. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation at 5 Millennium Drive. All right. So I believe it's Nicole, if you want to, state your name and so forth and do your presentation.
Yes, good evening. My name is Nicole Hayes. I'm a professional wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting, here for the applicant, doing Sorry about that. And ANRAD to confirm the wetland resources located on the site. The resources on the site include bordering vegetated wetland. There are no rare species mapped for the site. There are no mapped vernal pools. There is not a mapped area of critical concern. There is no riverfront and there is no FEMA floodplain. I do have plans that I can show, but I also am aware that we do have peer review looking at the lines on site. And I am wondering if they have had a chance to be on site or if they have started or finished their evaluation. I can show plans if commission members have not seen any.
So we all have access to the plans. And then as Leah, what's the status? I know that you indicated that it's not done yet. Do you know the status of it?
I'm not sure if Art has been to the site yet. I just know I don't have a report from him yet. I can follow up tomorrow.
Yeah. The other part is that you said we did not have a DEP number. Is that still true?
Yes.
Okay. So we're waiting on two things. Basically, the DEP number and our peer reviewer just to go through, and you can reach out to Leah tomorrow and she can find out what's been done or what's the schedule to move things along.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time until our peer reviewer has gone over it. Is there anything else, Leah, that we should be chatting about this? And I'll go around the commission, see if they have any questions.
I just wanted to make a note that our bylaw does take jurisdiction over isolated wetlands. I believe the narrative submitted said it does not.
That's correct.
All right. So yeah, and then obviously it's up to you, but if you want to continue to the next hearing, then obviously, hopefully the hope is that you have the peer review done and we can move on this particular ANRAD. So
Yes, we'll continue to the next hearing, please.
okay. Before we do that, I just want to go around real quick to the commission. If anyone else has any other questions or need anything else, Alicia.
Nope, no questions.
Patrick.
Nope, nothing at this time.
Betsy.
Nothing.
And Jonathan.
No questions.
Okay. So the applicant has requested a continuation. So do I have a motion to continue this ANRAD hearing to our next meeting, which is April 5th? Did you say? Leah?
5th. Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue this hearing to the next meeting on April 5th.
Do I have a second?
Second said motion.
I got a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Alicia.
Yes.
And Jonathan.
Yes.
Betsy.
Yes.
And Patrick.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries unanimously. So we'll see you next time, and reach out to Leah. So hopefully we can get that all straightened out and track down that DEP number, because sometimes they're a little bit tardy, a little bit slow. Okay.
We will. Thank you very much.
All right. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question before we move on?
Certainly.
Leah, I don't see the meeting minutes from the last meeting in the folder. Am I missing something?
No, we actually need to pass over that this time. We'll have them next time for you.
All right.
Oh my God, that breaks your record.
I know. I had such a streak going.
I just wanted to make sure, because I saw it on the agenda, that I was like looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, I was very involved with the MAC conference the last 2 weeks, and I just didn't have time.
We want you to be smart and educated. No worries.
Thank you.
And I feel bad because I wasn't really that involved in, other than some background stuff, but all right. So other action items. We did, Leah.
We just have our discussion item left.
Okay, great. And so that basically is Ray Mead for that discussion?
Correct.
So if Ray's still hanging out and he wants to
I
chat
just
about,
summoned, I've just summoned him from his meeting.
okay, thank you. Hope
So-
you're getting a lot of compensation for that role.
Yeah, it's just another one of my numerous compensated positions for this town. I've made millions on the graft and corruption that I've taken over time. The general idea, though, here is we wanted to talk about completing the job that was originally, I don't know what you would call it, thought about for this end of what had been a large undertaking, was going to be done a long time ago. So the bridge is all done, the bridge
Yep.
work. Looks great. The only thing is the rest of the part down there that was part of the original larger plan kind of looks terrible. And we'd like to kind of finish that off is generally where we are going. So we're in the starting phases of that.
Okay. I know there was an original landscape plan that had a pretty robust planting plan that, involved like taking things out and planting and so forth. So I don't know where you're at with that. So as far as the bridge itself, I guess you're talking more upstream along the river. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so Ray had sent along some pictures, I believe, of what is currently there. So if you're looking from Washington Mills across the street to the bridge,
Yep.
it's primarily on the right-hand side. And you can see the original design that was done in some of the sketches, and then the actual what's there now is kind of really sort of an eyesore.
But it's also a bank community that provides habitat too.
Oh yeah, that's right. That picture right there used to be a building there
Yeah.
a long time ago. But that's generally what the idea is. So I think that he kind of took the pictures, sort of framed them with the sketches that had been done when this whole thing was originally kind of scoped out 10 years ago. So now what he wants to do is going to be up to him when
Yep.
he gets here.
Anything else, Leah, or this is the last thing?
This is the last thing.
Okay.
Hi, Ray's on.
Hi, Ray. We're just waiting for you to give you a little spiel on the information that you submitted and what you're looking to do, the next steps.
Yeah, well, I tried to get on camera, but I can't, so I'm on my phone. So
That's okay.
You guys received the info, I think the pictures, and then the document or the pictures of that went from the historical commission back in the I don't know, early 2000s, I think it was. Did you guys receive that, right?
Yes, I'm looking at it, and yes, we have it.
Okay. Okay. So the area that we're talking about is to the west of the bridge near the entrance to the park. There was originally there was what was called a lookout over on the west end, and then there was there wasn't a sidewalk there, but there was a sidewalk proposed. All of the walls in that area, I know there's one area that shows that they want to put in vegetation there and plants and things. But what we want to do is we want to rebuild that lookout along with fencing, and then rebuild the wall all the way back to the bridge. Now, all of the granite blocks are there. They're in the water. They're all have fallen over for years, and that's so they're all there, and
I think you hit mute by mistake, Ray.
Yeah, we cannot hear you at the moment. And you're coming up as on. There we go.
How about that?
You're back.
Okay, good. What did you miss? So anyway, we want to rebuild the lookout.
Yep, and that the blocks are in the river, in the water.
Yes, all of the blocks are there, so everything is there. So what we want to do is we want to rebuild that lookout, put in fencing in a walkway to extend our existing paver walkway over to that lookout. And the reason that I wanted to talk to you guys about this is that, obviously that's, we're talking about an active river. And, us, or not us, but a contractor would be, picking these stones out of the river, and then piling them up and then rebuilding all of those walls. So it's not a simple project. And I'm not sure that it would take sheet piling to dewater the area. But I really wanted to get, you guys look at it and give us your thoughts on what you think about this project and whether we can actually do it or not.
Fair questions. I mean, one thing that plays into this is the fact of the historical nature of of a building that used to be there and so forth. So I don't know, Leah,
Yeah.
how much that plays into this.
I don't have an answer for that. I'd have to check it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, from, kind of our perspective of protecting the wetlands and the river, there's an opportunity from our perspective to kind of enhance some of the edges along the river itself and maybe supplement some of the vegetation in conjunction with putting that wall back in. As far as whether you can or can't do it, that's a really good question, because you're talking about a structural element on the edge of a bank. And I've seen water pretty high over there. I mean, it does go above the opening of the bridge, but I don't think this is within a floodplain, correctly. I don't know. We would have to check it.
I can look. Hang on.
Yep. So yeah, so there's some different considerations, and it's trying to get someone who has a little bit of expertise in that area of how you would reset a historical structure like that.
Yep. Okay.
It does say zone AE on GIS.
All right. So that would be something that you'd want to, if it's an AE, that means the floodplain with an elevation, but it's not a velocity zone, which would change the type of structure that you would have to put in there. I mean, velocity zone is just what it sounds like. That means there is, the risk of having water moving rapidly to the point where you have to change what the structural requirements are of any structure, whether it's a bridge or anything else. But it's, so, it's something that it will flood, but that is what it is. So it's really about finding someone who has that expertise to help you out with kind of the historical preservation. I think what we can do for you is to kind of look at maybe, the regulations in around historical locations and so forth, something that was there previously. I am curious, just to go around the Conservation Commission a little bit, on what what everyone's kind of feelings are about this site. Everyone saw it previously to when the work was done. We can't see you, but everyone else can see your butt. Okay, sorry, got to move a cat. So I'll just go around and check with the commissioners what they feel about, the fact that, you'd be reconstructing something there, putting in a walkway, then probably doing some vegetative enhancements. And obviously we don't have all that information in front of us, but just to kind of give a little bit of feedback. Alicia, any kind of comments on this?
So I drive by this park all the time because I live in the neighborhood. And I remember when they first were building it, they presented with all of this maintenance that they were going to do. They had a whole plan involved in how they were going to maintain it. Has that been being done? Because I remember it specifically because they were gonna, the material they used to build the walkway, they were gonna have to like clean it out and vacuum it, and it was a whole thing. Has there been routine maintenance being conducted on it according with what they said they were gonna do? Do we know anything about that?
I don't know, Ray, if you've got answers to that. And you're on mute again.
Ray left the building.
So Ray, if you are talking, we can't hear you.
It looks like you're muted.
Well, it could be something that we want answers on if we.
Well, we're
Yeah,
waiting.
not that it's incredibly relevant. Did they not build it in accordance with what they kind of said and thought they were going to do, or are they not maintaining it the way that they said they were going to maintain it? Because there was a maintenance program along with.
So I know that, that they didn't do, I mean, there was many layers to the project and they
Right.
did a portion of it. So as far as the maintenance go, I haven't noticed anything really bad out there, but
yeah,
I'm not looking at it very closely.
I would only say, Sandy,
Yep.
that being the rep on the Lake Quinsigamon Commission, whether there's any concerns about specifically with all the vegetation being planted and people going in and out of there, any invasives getting into the water and being carried, since that is Quinsig River. And then it just seems to me that Peter Collins seems to always know so much about everything, whether he would be a good resource to talk to about this.
That's probably true. I mean, I don't think they're planning to have like a canoe launch or anything else in that location because you really can't go anyplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would think that's your path of invasives getting in at that park. I mean, the whole idea of cleaning up and doing some enhancements along the edge, I would think that would help it, not.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, with all the plantings going in, is there thought being put into what those plantings are that may or may not contribute to any issues? That's all.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that would be part of it. So, Patrick, any kind of comments or questions?
Nothing really at the moment. I think, the maintenance question is a good question. If what's currently there has been kept up, if anything has been needed. I don't remember. I remember the hearing around a lot of that stuff, but not specific to the maintenance or anything. Tentatively, I'm in favor of improving that area, and it seems like it would benefit getting the riverway cleaned up a bit of the debris that's fallen in there.
Yep.
So, tentatively seems positive.
We had Ray back for a second there. You even had a
Am I there?
You're back. You're back. We've been just babbling on.
I have no idea. I'm not touching anything. I'm on my phone, and I'm in the conference room right behind the selectman's office. But so anyway, as far as the maintenance goes, we signed an agreement with the town to maintain the bridge and area for 10 years, and we are doing that. If you ever drive by area or myself down there, at least once, mostly twice, sometimes twice a week, shoveling, maintaining, taking care of the plants, taking care of the area. So we do that on a regular basis, and that is no cost to the town.
And then I guess I was just going around, Ray, to see what people's reactions were. Hopefully you were able to hear that.
Oh. I could hear it all. I just couldn't say anything.
Okay. Jonathan, any kind of comments and so forth on the potential of
Sure.
this project? Yeah.
So was this scope defined and planned to be part of the original? So I don't think I was on the commission when this was in planning. I live right up the street, so I drive by it just like most of the commission all the time. It looks like it's done. I know the area that you're talking about on the west side, you know, I guess closer to the restaurant in that direction. But was this something that was planned that wasn't done? Or is the project not done and this is just a continuing piece of it? Or that's where I'm a little bit confused, because I thought it was kind of done there. The granite pillars are up, the mulch is in, it looks to be done. Is this something that was always planned as part of it, or is it an additional new project to enhance that component upriver?
It's an additional new project. It was in the plans for the with the historical commission. And at the time that we did the project, you know, we weren't going to touch that side of the west side of the property because of the issues with water and the river and everything else. And we didn't have all the historical data on that. Now we're looking at it and we're saying, okay, now we want to finish this. We want to do this project and we want to finish, this will finish the entire area. So, you know, the idea is that, you know, we'll get an engineer or hire an engineer and you know, bring them in and give us a proposal and how to go about this, and then come back to you guys again, excuse me, to get your thoughts on it again, and then just go from there. It's not something that's going to happen right away, but it is something that we would like to do.
Okay, that helps clarify it. I have no other questions or comments.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's some potential to add some more value to that area, and further kind of, you know, restore some of the historical components to it. But yeah, we'll need more information. I don't hear anyone. I don't know, Leah, if you have any comments.
I mean, I was just going to clarify that we can keep having discussions like this, but when you get to the point that you do want to do something, it will need permitting through the commission.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely.
That's all I had to add.
Okay. Hopefully that gives you some insight.
Yeah, no, that's great. I apologize for keep going on mute. I have no idea how I'm doing it. So
Yeah, just blame it on the Russians.
okay.
I know that's great. You know, feel free to come back and chat with us if you have more information or specific questions, or reach out to Leah and, you know, and Jan if you have any specific questions. So.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Leah, anything else?
Nope, that's all I have.
I'm sorry that you broke your record for your minutes, but you know what? All we need is one more motion.
Well, I have a quick question. So the Open Space Recreation Committee, whatever the one I'm on is.
Yeah,
I think it's Open Space Recreation. Is that what it's called?
Sounds good.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
Is anyone else interested? Because I can never make the meetings. They're always the day after these meetings. And they always coincide with like a work call that I almost always have to be on for emergency planning. And they didn't meet. We met sporadically for a while, and now all of a sudden they're meeting every single month. And I feel bad because almost every month I can't make it. So I just wanted to check if anyone else was interested in taking the spot on the committee so we could actually be present.
Okay. Appreciate that. I know I don't have capacity. I mean, I think each commissioner needs to kind of voice what their capacity is. I mean, I do CPC, So I can't take anything else on.
It was fine when it was like quarterly, but now that it's monthly and it's the day after our meeting, and it is a time that I have another out. It's just getting to be too much.
Okay.
But I can still read all the stuff and just not attend the meetings. I don't mind. I just wanted to see if there was someone that was interested and could actually attend.
Is there any interest in that?
I will think about it. It's an area that I'm definitely interested in and have passion for, but I have to consider my overall capacity to manage that.
Understood on that part.
Yeah. It was easier before it ramped up, but now that it ramped up to be more frequent, I'm like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any possibility to like sub in some of them, split up some of it. I don't know.
I am open to any potential working together approach. I just know I have this and I have, I can't do it. I'm not even going to list all the different things I do.
And I'm doing the LQC now and I'm on 2 other boards. So I'm
right. Yeah. I'm on. Yeah. That's my problem on MACC and on a national board for lead and a few other things. And yeah.
Hey,
So
speaking of lead, have you been at the Quinn building down in Boston on Harrison Ave?
I haven't. I don't know. I wonder if we even worked on it. We do a ton of stuff, but anyways, but anyways, I mean, I think Alicia, you got a nibble. So if I was you, I'd throw that fishing line back in.
Yeah. So Patrick, what you're saying is you're interested and you would love to do it, is what I'm hearing.
I will strongly consider it. I'll think about it. Is there a calendar?
I mean, there's a meeting tomorrow if you want to check it out.
That would be really tough because I have things for like the next 4 nights after that. Just have family things, but tomorrow I can't swing. But is there a schedule for the year out there?
No.
But
it seemed, well, there was 2 meetings one month. It seems like typically the meetings are the day after our meeting that's at the end of the month. But sometimes they've forgotten to schedule the meetings and they've added a meeting. I'm very unclear about it. I also haven't made it to many meetings.
Does the Open Space and Recreation Planning Committee?
Yeah. Unless there's a schedule online that I just don't have.
There's a I don't see anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
I probably can't attend the one tomorrow, but maybe the next one I could try to attend and see.
I will officially let them know you're taking over. Thank you.
I'm not getting involved in this one. So I appreciate, Patrick, that you're even considering it. I know how we're all kind of out straight. So anything else?
Can I make a motion to close the meeting?
You certainly can. Anything else, Leah?
Nope.
Second. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Alicia.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
And Betsy.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Everyone.
Thank you, everyone.